All right, as we do every Wednesday now at 5:30, let's talk to Jay from the 360 Sports Network about some fantasy basketball. How are you?
I'm doing all right, guys. How you doing?
Oh, not bad.
I'd do it better if yesterday I remembered to set my damn lineup, James.
Hey, set yourself. You're gonna be up in the morning, or you're right before you get to work, start getting on the air. Set your phone alarm to make sure that you set it in right at the right time.
I wouldn't think I'd need to do
what
that.
I do. I have it as my screensaver. It says set basketball roster.
Have you ever done that, James?
I have my alarm set every day just to make sure I check everything, but honestly, I look 3-4 days ahead of time every time that I go and set my lineup, just in case I don't get to it in time. I'm at least going to have as full of a lineup as possible in there.
Yeah, that's because you're intelligent and I'm not, and that's
Hey, what do you call us from? Are you on a
that.
cell phone, or are you calling from like Skype, or what do you sound like you're over the computer?
I'm sorry, yeah, I had to call on Skype. The cell phone decided to die.
No,
right
it doesn't sound bad at all. You could keep. You could tell it was like I think he's using the computer. It actually sounds good.
Hey, I'm impressed. I was a little worried how it would come through.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
That's it. Just sounds like something sounds a little different. Not for the worst. Just I could tell.
That's good.
It's all that
How your
training at
team's
YSU.
Yeah.
I can hear when things are coming over a landline. So, this week I'm looking at my team, and I'm 18-18, and I'm surprised at myself. I've only actually made 2 roster moves this entire season. And I feel like in fantasy basketball, maybe you can either tell me I'm wrong or you can agree with this, that if you are happy with your team and what's going on with it, and I'll attribute 7 of my 18 losses to I pulled a Christian and forgot to set my lineup 2 days in a row. I'm pretty happy. Like as long as your team's healthy and they're performing, there's no reason to just make moves to make them, right?
As long as they're healthy, you hit the key point there. Staying healthy is the key thing. If a guy's going to miss more than 2 games in a row, you almost immediately want to consider dropping him, especially if he's not one of your top 2 or 3 performers on the team. There's always going to be some guys out there who are currently playing well, whether it's due to injury or just that somebody's left them on the waiver wires for you to go and try to snag them up. It's always good to keep your eye open, try to keep your eyes on injuries, because there's always potential for somebody better out there. But yeah, why mess with something that's working? Just always keep your eyes open in case there is somebody better out there.
I have a question. I'm looking to shore up my point guard position. I have Rondo, but he's been hurt a little bit. I picked up Andre Miller as my backup point guard, and I play him on off nights. Obviously, he doesn't start. He plays a lot, but he doesn't start. I'm looking at some of the point guards that are out there in my league anyway. Kids out there, but he was already hurt once this year. Carlson of Indiana, Stuckey of Detroit, Jeff Teague of Atlanta. Are any of those guys people I might want to look at?
I wouldn't mind Stuckey. He's going to put up at least decently consistent points. Only problem is Detroit's offense hasn't been too stellar of late the past couple of years, so you're not going to get the insane points out of him, but he's pretty consistent. Again, you mentioned Jason Kidd. I really like Jason Kidd, except for the fact, yeah, exactly, he is not staying healthy at his age. But, if you need to pick somebody up out of those guys, I would probably say you got to go with Jason Kidd, because he is going to get you not only the points and obviously the assists, but he also does pretty well in the rebounds category as well. So just if you had to pick one of those up due to injury, I would pick Jason Kidd. I would definitely look at Stuckey as well. The other guy that's available in lots of leagues, and if he's snagged up on yours, I feel bad for you. Luke Rindor from Minnesota. Even with Ricky Rubio up there, Rindor is still averaging over 12 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals. He's an all-around player. And as a point guard, he's even sharing time on the court at the same time with Rubio. So if he was still available,
free agent.
He's the guy I would pick up first. And that's just because he is an all-around player, and he's still getting very solid minutes, even with the great production of Ricky Rubio.
Yeah, it says here he's averaging over 32 minutes a game.
Yeah, and that's what's the key. If anybody's averaging over 30 minutes a game, especially in a high-scoring offense like Minnesota has been this year, there's somebody you have to pick him up without a doubt.
Okay, all right. So I'm looking at Kid Ridner. All right, that gives me something to work at. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Oh, my
Because
pleasure. Hey, always gotta solidify everything.
Because I am not doing well.
You're not doing as well. Come on, what's going on?
I don't know. The lineup thing doesn't help when you forget. It doesn't hurt when you forget to set it. But like I said, I was trying to show my point guard. I just wasn't having my point guard. Rondo does well, but he's hurt too. Andre Miller wasn't bad, but just wasn't really giving me the stats I needed, especially coming off the bench. And I was looking for some. So now you got me down between Kidd and Ridnour right now. I'm trying to figure out who I want.
I'd probably lean towards Ridnour there.
He's over there fixing things. He's like,
Like on the computer.
If we could put a scientific coat on him, like the lab coat, that's what he'd be doing right now.
I'm just doing what I'm told.
All right. We live and die by your analogy.
I hope you know that. I live and die with what you do, what you tell us to do.
Yeah, well, with my luck, Ridnour will probably now get injured or something, or Kidd will suddenly put up 40 points because I said pick Ridnour in front of him. So it's just, sometimes it's the way it works, and you gotta go with trend analysis of who's done what well lately. But you also got to go with that little bit of a gut instinct. I really haven't heard of Ridnour. If you feel a little safer in going with a bigger name that you know, even if it is Jason Kidd, who's been in the league for 20 million years, sometimes it's safer. You said that at the beginning of the year, picking up Grant Hill. He still puts up consistent points. He might be someone you still want to look at, yeah.
All right, I got one more question, and then I'm done, buddy. I'll let Ryan get a question in here. But I have both Nick Young and Darrell White, and I'm kind of looking at them, watching them throughout the season. I'm kind of feeling like they're the same player, and having both of them doesn't hurt you, but it doesn't really help you because they're kind of the same player. They're pretty much going to give you jump shots, and that's about it. Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yeah, that's a pretty fair statement. They're going to get you the same thing. They're mainly going to get you points more than anything.
Right.
They don't get you many rebounds. They don't get many assists. When they are, and they're not your star player either by any stretch of the imagination. No. So having two players like that on your roster, it might be, especially in your league where you have the different stat categories, it might be a good idea to drop the one that hasn't been producing as much lately or is getting less minutes in general. Get rid of one of them and see if you can pick up a strong guy in one of the other categories, someone at the center position who can get you a couple extra rebounds to spice you up there even.
Well, are there any guards out there, or small forwards I'm missing that are helping out that might be free agents that aren't just necessarily scoring, but also getting some rebounds and some assists that can help me out in those categories?
I like Tayshaun Prince, small forward from Detroit. He's about as tall of a small forward as you can get, so he's going to get you some rebounds as well. And even with Prince Fielder now in Detroit, don't forget about the Prince who's been there for over 10 years. And that's a guy who's averaging 40 minutes a game over the past week. So he's a consistent guy to look at. He's available in about 50% of leagues.
Man,
I like yours. Say a bigger name, he's more likely to be off the boards even when he isn't performing well like he did at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. Somebody also a bigger name just because of what he did in college, Evan Turner. He's normally listed both small forward and shooting guard. He puts up consistent numbers, averaging only 26 minutes per game, which is a little scary, but the numbers have been increasing. So he's someone to pick up maybe and just see where he goes, especially if you have a little bit of availability. Rip Hamilton's been strong lately, 22 points and 10 assists, both season highs in his last game. And Derrick Rose, with his injury worries after his last toe injury, Hamilton would be picking up the slack there. So with a shortened season, you got to look at injury analysis, see who's going to step up in the clutch, and see what's going to happen.
Okay, thank you. That's some good help. I think I'll make some roster moves right now.
Now, one final question before we let you go, since Christian went over his whole team.
Sorry.
It's okay. That's what
I'm struggling.
Now, other than maybe we realize that Kyrie Irving's probably the best Cavalier anytime they take the floor. But if you're in a pinch and you might need a player, I'm not saying somebody you should rely on. Is there any Cavs player that, if you need a quick fix, say somebody gets hurt, that would be worth picking up, other than maybe, Varejao obviously averaging 10 and 10, but maybe you see like a Samardo Samuel sometimes can get your points. Is there anybody we can look for on that roster? Or would I just say you have a better chance of getting a Washington Wizard?
Honestly, the Cavs, especially with the turnover issue, it makes it rather difficult to get that stat category and stay high, especially in the leagues where every point is equal. A rebound is equal to a point, and a turnover you lose points. So the turnovers makes it tough. You can say maybe Antoine Jameson. I definitely like Verjao. He would be one for sure, just because, like you said, 10 and 10 very consistently. But beyond that, beyond Kyrie Irving and Verjao, there's not too many that I'm real high on right now out of Cleveland, sadly. And until they start limiting the turnovers and start putting the ball in the hoop a little bit more, getting a more high-scoring game, as far as fantasy is concerned, it's just not a very good look.
All right. Well, thank you very much, James. We look forward to talking to you next Wednesday, and we'll see where Christian's at come Wednesday.
I literally did everything you told me to, James, just so you know.
Well, again, let's hope that there's no injuries and just hope that, well, hopefully that maybe you can get a win this week so we don't have to completely wipe out your team again.
All right. Unlimited move. Look forward to redoing my roster with you next week, James. Thank you.
I appreciate it, guys.
All right. That's James, 360 Sports Network.